Greetings, or what is up, and a very warm welcome to the channel. The sun is hiding and the magpie is casting this fine, what are we on now, Tuesday, the 26th of November. Coming at you guys right now with a live 1 versus 1 battle featuring spawning in the south. It'll be the Wehrmacht forces of a newcomer to the channel, Elpern, and spawning in the north. It is going to be the Soviet forces of loovus, who is also a newcomer to the channel, and we'll be rocking with the guard motor coordination tactics commander choice. A super solid commander who is, like, probably in terms of like time spent on my Soviet roster is probably like the #1. Like, I just throughout the course of Company of Heroes 2, even from like early on in the game's release, I've always had this commander on my Soviet roster. He's not thrilling. It's not the biggest adrenaline surge. You don't get the flashiest of units. He's not a lifestyle choice, but he is a very capable all-rounder, and he suits a sort of slightly more defensively oriented Soviet playstyle, which I often find myself employing, so it makes a lot of sense to keep on the roster. The one thing I wish he had was the Dansak spicy machine gun, but you can't complain. 5 relevant choices here: T-34-85, the heavy mortar tube, the guards infantry, the vehicle crew repairs, and the marked vehicle, all very useful at varying stages in the game. And I mean, objectively, probably the worst of these 5 is probably that 120mm tube, but, you know, if I'm being honest, I mean, and it's only, I mean, it's a fine unit as well, like, it works fine. It's only objectively the worst, because you already usually have access to just, like, the Soviet mortar tube, the, what is it, PM81 or whatever. So it's like, you know, you kind of split in hairs having, like, access to another mortar squad. It's like, yeah, it's fine, but it's not great. But if I'm honest, like, I just love that 120mm tube, the sound it makes, and the, like, super scary impacts of those shells, you know, making your opponent flinch every time. It's satisfying, it's fun to play with, and since I'm not the best player at the game, that's kind of what I look for. Let's be real, you know. So it looks like Elpern here, going to be getting his MG42. Unluckily gets caught out there and is forced back, and that may affect the texture of this early game, as without the MG42 it is always difficult for Wehrmacht forces to put together a fight against you know, conscript blobs in these early stages. So it looks like some Pioneers going to get the better end of these Engineers, though, so something going Elpern's way here. Elpern, though, going to be rolling with the Mobile Defense Doctrine, going to be rolling with the... Now, is that Lightning Warfare or is that Blitzkrieg Doctrine? I'm going to say it's Blitzkrieg. Nope, it's Lightning Warfare. Goodness me. And is that, like, German Infantry Doctrine? Yeah. So, yep. Those are his picks there. Final rounders. I suppose we've got like a 1 in 3 chance, if he rolls a dice for his commander, of ending up on a Tiger plan here. I desperately want to see Wehrmacht step out of the shadow of the Tiger. I've got to be real. I mentioned it in the last game a little bit, actually, where I was saying, yeah, I like the Tiger tank. It's iconic, it's cool, it is fun to use, it is fun to watch, but there's a limit. And right from the game's release, it really feels like the Tiger tank has dominated the Wehrmacht meta so hard. Like, you basically can tell pretty early on if your opponent's on a Tiger plan, and you can normally tell if that plan's going to be successful based on varying factors. I mean, I don't know, I just feel like I've watched a lot of Tiger games, that's all. Anyway, I should probably start paying attention, because stuff is occurring in this battle now. MG42, find some conscripts under its arc here. Flammenwerfer Pioneer is going to be supporting. Other skirmishes are going on around this map. And this is one of the new maps, Bio. So this is, yep, a relatively new, or at least new to me, map that's in the pool. So I'm going to have to try and get a feel for it. Actually, you know what? What I normally like to do is just go for a bit of a pan around at the early stages of viewing a new map. So this is relatively open map, dominated by bands of line-of-sight blocking terrain rather than evenly spaced line-of-sight blocking terrain. It's kind of these lines of forest sweeping through the map, but then very open areas in between them. Pardon me. Plenty of roads, providing some interesting... You know what? They're not negative cover, they're just neutral cover. Roads are often negative cover. That's interesting. So, yeah, lots of roads here, so vehicles are going to be fairly rapid on this map, aren't they? How have I been playing this game this long, and I just don't think I've ever heard that particular voice file? Machine guns! Oh my goodness. Right. Mobile Defense Doctrine is going to be the pick, so it is not going to be a Tiger strat here for Elpern, and that is refreshing. You know, we might even get a chance to have a look at the Wehrmacht Puma, the lesser spotted Wehrmacht Puma, I should say. And the possibility of Panzer IV command tank later on, which I've not seen for so long, and, you know, I have no idea what state that unit's in, I've got to be honest, so I'd love to see one coming out. Time was, they were always a very useful choice to have access to. That's a rifle grenade, and it looks like loovus not paying attention. His engineers are going to be forfeit, and that's a bitter blow. That is a bitter blow to take here. loovus right now stacking manpower, probably saving up for some guards, I would imagine. We're going to see. Once he gets 2 command points, then we'll have a little bit more information about what his intentions are with regards to spending this manpower. Probably going to be guards. It's way too early. I mean, you could go for a super early 120mm tube, but I mean, I feel like this has got to be guards. You normally get the guards before the tube. 222 going to be the choice here for elpern, and that will match up kind of okay against this Soviet roster. Once the guards start moving in... Oh, no, he's actually going to go for the engineers. He's going to replace those engineers. Oh, that's interesting. He's going to replace the engineers and go for a tank battalion command. So, okay, T-70 is going to be the choice. Alright, fair enough. So there's going to be a window of time here where the 222 has run of the field before the T-70 is out, where that 222 is basically going to be able to spank any Soviets it comes across. Did we get a... Okay, no anti-vehicle tech has... no anti-vehicle grenade tech yet for loovus. I mean, it's early days for that. I wouldn't expect to see it by now, but always worth checking. Some players do go for it early to catch off guard a potential early 222. Wow, that was a pretty rapid fallback on those grenadiers. I mean, I know they're about to lose a model, but like you can probably leave them out in the field and get a bit more efficiency out of them. Anyway, conscripts here, hopelessly surrounded, getting utterly gunned down. 222 is going to play havoc with them on the fallback here. Actually, this could definitely be a squad wipe. The autocannon flailing away. Still no tank buster grenade research on the way. Guards have been called in though, and the PTRSs on those boys will help. But this has been an early game dominated more or less by elpern here, so anytime that you can get off to a great start in these early stages of the game, especially as Wehrmacht forces, that's always going to stand you in good stead. So elpern doing really well here at making himself some headway. And that should mean that he's able to have a pretty comfortable mid-game. And when we see Wehrmacht players have a comfortable mid-game, well, Allied players don't tend to last very long. So, engineers again getting quite low. They will get out of there safely. Guards are here. Looks like the DPLMGs are finished on them, so they're going to be quite the killing machine against infantry and vehicles. There goes some pioneers. They get wipes there. Conscripts making their way through an S minefield by virtue of having that many bodies. They do get through, and onto this point. Oh my goodness me, taking a fallback through an S minefield though is turbo risky. 222 in the hood here to capitalise, and that should be a squad wipe. Seems unlikely. Oh my goodness, how is that conscript getting away? Well, he gets out of there. loovus being a little bit lucky there. PTRS is going to ping the 222, and that will force the scout car back for now. loovus basically just needs to break into the sort of southwest portion of the map and start actually putting some pressure on the Axis player and their side of the map, because right now, I mean, it's not a contain. It's not, like, super bad or anything, but loovus... actually, not only trailing by 20 or 19 tickets... Sorry, that's 21. Tickets is, like... Yeah, it's not too bad. And the resource differential has also not been too bad. Conscripts moving onto the field, afforded by the mobile defense doctrine. Of course, you can call in 2 squads of conscripts for... sorry, not conscripts, Ostropon, for 425 manpower, and they have random equipment. Looks like he's rolled 1 LMG-42 on one of them. I believe it's random equipment. I don't know, actually. Pardon me, because it always used to be, like, super random, and, like, sometimes... I mean, it would actually have, like, quite an effect on the outcome of the game, which always felt a bit like, from a game design point of view. Like, do we really want to have a random element dictating how good the Ostropon that we call in with this doctrine? So I seem to remember that the RNG was toned down, so maybe you just always get 1 LMG this time? I don't know. I hope he uses it again so that we can see if it's like always 1 LMG-42 squad. I feel like that's the right way to balance it as well. .222 coming in here, find some conscripts, nice and open. Where's the MG42 in all this? Okay, just moving into position now. Guard's going to get a grenade into these grenadiers, but it's okay. Ostropon going to be making a pretty prickly stand here. LMG-42 going to be racking up some veterancy on the cheap Axis infantry. Guards rejoining the fray. This 222 having a really good day at the moment. Engineers actually get up into this building on top of the MG-42, so that is kind of problems. Wow, although there's just too much Axis on the dance floor, and loovus feels compelled to have to fall back all of his units, and that is wise. If you don't fall back your units before they get too low, then yeah, I mean the 222 can start pursuing, and he fell back these engineers when they were like on 3 men left, so this is testament to the power of the 222, able to cut down a couple more Soviets on the fallback there. Struppen still fighting strong here. The LMG Struppen were forced back. We're going to have a pack gun added to the roster. You know what? There was no T-70. Does that mean he's just going to bank fuel and go for T-34, like an earlier T-34? I kind of like that, if I'm honest. I think that's a pretty smart choice. Maxim going to be added into the roster here for loovus. And I like that. He's got a nice backbone to his army now. 3 squads conscripts, 2 squads guards. Should be enough. What he needs now is some diversity and some additional tools, some additional utility. So I wouldn't hit him going for a mortar tube, a Maxim, or 2. That all seems fine to me. And we're going to have to keep an eye on the teching choices here of loovus, who, yeah, like I say, opting not to get the T-70. So one can only assume is probably going to be going for an early T-34. I feel like if you don't go for an early T-34, like, I don't think a Zisgun's going to cut it on this map against the 222 and, like, additional Axis armoured units. Because there's, like, so many line of sight blockers, and the map is broad enough that one Zisgun can't possibly be in a, like, cover all the relevant areas at once. So, like, yeah, loovus is going to need to come up with some sort of anti-vehicle plan as this game goes forward. I think probably 2 squads of guards is okay against this 222. You might even be able to put together a kill on it. We'll see. Does he have anti-vehicle grenades yet? Wow, still no. That is surprising. loovus cutting some corners here with this teching plan. And, you know, you can see on the minimap being pushed into a bit of a corner here. This Axis roster is quite killy, pretty mobile, with the 222 able to position itself wherever it can best get value against the Soviet units, or plug the line if there's a weak point in an elpern's line. So, yeah, this is a difficult place to be right now for loovus. Grenade comes down, but I mean, that is a pretty forlorn grenade, easily dodged by elpern. Guards get forced back, and the noose is starting to tighten. loovus here, somewhat on the ropes. Has a decent amount of fuel, but no mechanized Campanile right now. So I suppose is going to look to get that one established sooner rather than later. Maxim finds a couple of units under its arc, and that is nice. There we go. Finally getting some units to have to fall back. That might enable Soviet units to start, you know, maybe grabbing a fuel, maybe grabbing another VP. That's going to be useful. Still, like, as near as makes no difference, no scoreline differential between the 2 players at this stage. So loovus at least not under pressure from that point of view. I suppose you skip the T-70 in respect of the fact that your opponent Wehrmacht player could call in a Puma at any time, and a Puma kind of makes a T-70 look a bit silly. Also, I feel like on this map, the T-70's line of sight providing abilities are like not as good as they are on some other maps. Like, there's just large bands of line of sight blocking terrain around about the place where, I don't know, I mean, sure, having a T-70 with scout mode is still going to be really useful, but I feel like just having a look around this map, this is one of those maps where it's not going to be as good as it is on, like, Langreskaya or something. Alright, finally, loovus beginning to look a little bit confident now. We've got conscripts engineers flanking in the west, additional Soviet units moving to the front, and the Axis position beginning to become, well, a lot of units hitting the front now, so I guess this is the moment of truth here, but at least loovus has been able to access, like, some parts of the map on the opponent's half of the map for like, pretty much the first time, it feels like, in a long time. Good grenade comes down off these guards, catches a couple of grenadiers out. That's nice. Unable to put together a kill on this grenadier squad, but forcing them back, that's good. And now the PTRS is able to now enable this Soviet advance. We're going to get a Zisgun added onto the roster here for loovus, which is fine. It's fine with the guards against 1-2-2-2. That's just like okay. But like elpern is, what is elpern doing tech-wise? It's going to be a support armor core. Yay! I love games where the Axis player isn't just like on a tiger plan from minute 5. Support armor core, excitement. Alrighty, is it going to be a Panzer command tank? Is it going to be an Ostwind? Is it going to be a Stug? All of these units are actually going to be pretty viable and seem like respectable choices against this roster in the top right. So I'm excited to see what elpern is planning. Elpern also basically has the fuel for any of those choices. How much is the Panzer command tank? It's 100 fuel! I did not know that the Panzer command tank was that much cheaper than a regular Panzer IV. What? Holy spoons, that seems great. Oh, another grenade! Ugh, loads of Ostropens getting gibbed. Yeah, considerable amount of disarray here. Save it. Whoa! Oh, these guards. These guards will be dead. That is too many LMGs on the fallback path. Oh no, they drop a DP LMG. Oh, yikes. That's going to be really nice to have if you can get that on your Pioneer squad or on your, you know, on the Struppens. There's a lot of good places where this LMG-42 can be put, sorry, where this DP LMG can be put to good work in the Axis roster, and it is a rare luxury. It's not very many games, it's not very often that you're able to grab a DP as the Axis player, so that's pretty cool. Panzer command tank on the field, and that's going to be the choice here. So, with a guard squad being wiped out, this is really just a squad of guards and a Zis gun as potential countermeasures for this Panzer IV command tank. The tank buster grenade research did finish for the conscripts, so they're going to be able to chip in as well. This command tank does have to respect them, but wow, gonna actually find a window to like bust through here. This DP LMG is still down here actually. I don't know if loovus noticed that he dropped it, but if he did, he could grab it on these conscripts or something. That would be really useful. Panzer IV command tank going to come across to police these units. There we go. Okay, he grabs the DP on the conscripts. That's nice. I like that. Loovus is stacking a lot of fuel though, actually. Loovus could... Are you restricted to one Panzer command tank? You are, okay. Well, Loovus could go for additional Panzer command tanks. That would be just fine. Sorry, additional Panzer IVs. That would be just fine. Let me just... So what does the Panzer IV command tank get these days? So Blitzkrieg tactics at Vet 1. And... Alright, but what does it actually do? Oh, it doesn't seem to have on its descriptors anywhere that it improves nearby forces. Alright, because what it always used to do is it used to make your armoured units like way tougher. In fact, I think it used to affect all of the units in the sector it was parked. So if you're playing as the Wehrmacht player, the sector on the map, which the command tank would sort of glow on a sort of yellow colour. And all of your dudes would get a glowing shield marker above them, indicating that they're just like more durable, and it would apply to infantry as well. So the Panzer command tank was actually like really good previously. Looks like that mechanic no longer works, so we still get the glowing shield marker, but I think it's like a radius-based effect now rather than a sector-based effect for the Panzer command tank. So okay, that's still really cool that it buffs all units. Wow, actually this Panzer command tank and a spot of bothers. This gun up here to the north, angling for shots, finds one, and that's going to be the Panzer command tank. No, I mean. Oh, I was really hoping we could see a Panzer command tank flourish in this game here. Oh no. Loovus, what have you spent all your fuel on in the meantime? What have you been... Sorry, I mean elpern, what have you spent your fuel on? I'm not entirely sure right now. Okay. Wow, losing that command tank feels like kind of a little bit of a feels bad moment there for me as a caster. I was really hoping to see that unit flourish. I mean, fair play to Loovus, able to put together a kill there on the Axis medium. Very nicely done. With the Zis gun at just the correct angle to get shots down to the south through that opening in the line of sight blockers. But oh man, means that the command tank. Oh, I was hoping we could see it vet up and like really get a feel for exactly how that unit plays on the battlefield. But not so. I don't know if yep, he's immediately going to call in another one. Nice one, elpern. If at first you don't succeed, nicely done. So. Additional Panzer command tanks driving onto the battlefield. Good stuff. Triple cap though for elpern actually, I've just noticed. So 3-3-1 tickets and bleeding fast now for Loovus. The scoreline differential has opened up. And despite losing the Panzer command tank, I feel like that was a sort of awkward blip in an otherwise fairly dominant game for elpern. So the Zis gun was like here, and it was taking shots down to the south, and apart from that, the Panzer IV command tank was like not especially flustered or snared, so I feel like it was basically or at least a large component in the death of that previous Panzer command tank was like error by elpern. I think if he was able to replay the situation, like resume from replay, I don't think he'd be losing that Panzer IV. So there's a mistake there. Your opponent picks up one of your best units, your fuel investment unit. That's a shame. But this game's far from over. The Axis position is great. Look at this minimap, it's fantastic. Double fuel is connected. Triple cap is established. Loovus is under some serious pressure. Down to like one squad of guards and like just one squad of engineers, and there's going to be a T-34 on the field here momentarily. And I believe, I mean, I'm looking at the outline. I think that's just, is that the regular T-34? I think it is, because the T-34-85 has like a little bump on the back. I think that's still the case. It's going to be regular T-34s. I mean, that is probably okay, because if I recall, the Panzer command tank, it's the short-barreled, like, early variant of the Panzer IV. And so its anti-vehicle capability is not quite up to scratch with what the regular Panzer IV has. That's why it costs less fuel, I suppose. So is this an 85? It is an 85. Okay, I thought that gun barrel looked a bit long. All right, so oh yeah, okay, the little blobber on the back is that little sticky outy bit is just there. All right, fair enough. So a T-34-85 can actually probably bully a Panzer IV command tank. Like, that should not be... like, if there's a prolonged exchange between these two tanks, I expect to see the T-34-85 just, like just achieving a value gap. Like, he's just going to out-damage the Panzer IV command tank. So, yeah, if this T-34 gets an opportunity, that would be really nice. What have we got here? Oh, there's an MG42 here? How long has this been here? Yo, you should probably grab this. This would be a really nice thing to have. Hey, loovus. Just saying. Anyway, MG42 and Grenadiers in a nice position here. They catch basically the entire Soviet army as it moves out here. This gun's going to be used on the barrage ability here. Elpern here opts to move the MG42 rather than risk taking heavy damage from that barrage. That's a grenade from some guards, which Elpern didn't actually quite notice until it was just a bit too late. So that one is a good hit. Going to force back that Grenadier squad. Looks like most of the Soviet army will now be allowed to leave the base. But man, this 222 is 18 kills. 222s, I've got to say, are in a fantastic place right now in the meta, aren't they? I mean, especially against Soviet forces, it seems. Like, they just have the right combination of range, hitting power, and speed, whereby if you micro them correctly, they can live for like quite a large amount of time in the game and provide like decent value, even through the mid game and even in the late game if they're still alive. And they're just a fun unit to watch, a fun unit to use and micro. So I've got to say, I'm loving 222s right now. They seem good. I also quite enjoy the 221, like, you know, the command car that the Overcommand can get, but haven't seen one of those for a while. The Panzer Elite, or the Elite Armored Doctrine guy. So, okay, so it's going to be a Panzer IV proper now joining the battlefield, and that represents quite the swing of power. Now the T-34-85 is basically going to find itself hunted by quite a large amount of Axis AT resources, and is probably going to have to be used defensively. Although, having said that, he comes for a little poke through here. He's going to see the Panzer IV command tank, and that's a fight that the T-34-85 wants to take. So, Panzer IV command tank going to give way, and that's fine. Crucially, loovus secures a victory point, so into slow bleed now, but down at 168 under 427. That is pretty dire times, if I'm honest. So a Soviet advance comes out here, but I mean, there's just well-positioned Axis infantry. They're advancing into the coax machine guns of many an armored medium tank here. Conscripts on the retreat here, in danger of getting wiped. They've even got an LMG-42, so that's an even more bitter loss. They do get wiped. That's a nicely positioned minefield on the fallback path there, and this is just absolute brutality right now. Loovus is getting torn apart. This Wehrmacht army, despite losing a command tank, actually just fine. And you know what, I think losing that command tank was basically down to Elpern's error, and sometimes you lose things like that and it actually almost makes you feel good. You're just like, you know what, the only thing that's gone wrong in this game, I was the cause of. Like, that was my bad, I gave that unit away, I made that mistake. And yeah, Elpern has like recomposed themselves. I'm loving this composition, I'm loving the fact that we're not on a Tiger plan. And it's nice to see an Axis player opting to use multiple medium tank units and playing a pretty mobile style and supporting it well with just a pretty wide variety of Axis infantry. You know, we've got Grenadiers who've been used very well, 3 stars of veterancy. We've got Ostripern who've not achieved the most damage. Ostripern don't tend to do that, but they've definitely served their purpose on the battlefield, being ablative units and capping ground, supported by an MG42 and a pack gun. Really nice. The only thing missing from the roster for me, which elpern could easily get because, you know, they're stacking so much manpower, would be a mortar tube, because, you know, having a mortar tube and around about this position, the Axis mortar tube fires so fast and it's so accurate. I think it might just sort of be too much for loovus to ever push out of their base. But anyway, second T-34-85 going to come out here, and there's going to be a window of time before this game ends where the Soviet player will have 2 T-34-85s. It's a long shot, but the damage on those tanks is reasonable. There's telemines here, by the way. The damage on those 2 medium tanks is reasonable. So there probably is a timeline in which these 2 T-34-85s are able to get loovus back into the game. It probably involves getting some squad wipes and or putting together some nice engagements against the Axis armor. So I guess that's what we're going to have to look for here for loovus. Guards heroically get up onto middle VP, but there's just too much resistance here. 2 medium tanks and no real answer. This T-34-85 just not really contributing. Could have been taking shots into the side of this battle for a lot of that, I think. And yeah, the guards get forced back. No chance of being able to get that one. Some brave Ostripern even going to be able to get the Faust onto this T-34, and they get out of there with their lives intact. Oh no, perhaps an opportunity missed there for loovus to try and get the squad wipe. This T-34-85 just rolling up into fog of war, just not with any scouting here. Pack gun, Panzer IV, get a lot of good shots into that one, taking off 2/3 of its health, forcing it back pretty much immediately. Now it's going to have to repair for a while, and the window is just closing now for loovus. This game looks like it will be ending in what is a fairly smooth fashion here for elpern. I mean, I don't really feel like elpern has broken a sweat this entire game. Losing that command tank was a bit of a moment, but I mean, I think we all know that was elpern's fault. And, you know, elpern's core infantry roster... Actually, losing a grenadier squad in that last phase of play, I did miss that, sorry, my bad. So, okay, losing a core infantry squad is kind of like, obviously, terrible. But when you're floating, well, we're floating like 800, 900 manpower, you know, obviously you can replace them. Panzer Grenadier is going to come onto the field to do just that. A third Panzer IV going to be adding into the roster here, so this is going to be 2 regular Panzer IVs with a command tank. And, I mean, that ought to be unassailable. I can't see how loovus is going to get out from under this. We'll see. We'll see. Going to push forward here. If elpern can, I'd love to see an attempt on this this command point here to just close the game pretty quickly. Yeah, there's a Ziskan and a Maxim on Overwatch. Wisely, loovus are going to leave those units there. But I think you have enough Panzer IVs and a 222 that you can overrun that position sort of Blitzkrieg style, force those 2 weapon teams back, and access that point. Close the door quickly rather than letting loovus sort of linger in this game, you know, letting loovus repair these tanks maybe an extra time or 2 and have another couple of attempts to try and put something together with these T-34-85s. I mean, you know, the game is pretty well in the bag for elpern either way, but I think I'd still like to see an attempt made on this point rather than just leaving back and being static. Okay, so here comes some Ostripern. They're going to come through. The Maxim's going to open up. That's going to reveal its position. And actually, the Ostripern's even get into the cover here. Ah, no, some of them are exposed. That is... Really? We're going to waste a Ziskan barrage here? Okay, fair enough. Panzer Grenadier is going to come in for support. Additional Axis infantry is sharking round. And now, yeah, here we go. This is what I wanted. Now we're going to see at least one of the Panzer IVs get committed here. Coming in for a flank. The Ziskan feels like it has to reposition, and it kind of really does. This is just too much Axis infantry pushing forward. The Strippens are going to complete the cap. That's nice. Actually, you know what, though? I didn't notice this. Some guards get onto the western VP, and the 2 T-34-85s coming in for a wide flank. I like this. Maybe just keep coming down this line here. Yeah, come in behind the Panzer IVs. Set them to target armor, or else you're going to waste shots on the Grenadiers. There we go. This is what we needed. Now the T-34's coming in from an unexpected, unscouted angle. They get up on top of a Panzer IV. Guns blazing. They get one. That's really nice. Now the 222 on the chopping block. Grenade comes down off the guards. The Grenadiers get shredded. The telemines are crucial, though. That's one of the T-34s heavily wounded. There's a pack gun and another Panzer IV here to help, but it still has its gun for now. Oh my goodness, the turret traverse speed is pretty slow. It feels slow when you're trying to find a target like this. Oh no, so he'll lose that one for no additional shots fired. Gets the pack gun though. So now it's a Panzer IV and a command tank versus the T-34-85. Really, it's just the Panzer IV with the punching power to seriously threaten this one. You can see the command tank's rounds just kind of bouncing. Another grenade comes down here. The Panzer Grenadiers, Panzer Shreks finish just in the nick of time. They get 2 good hits on the T-34-85. It's on 1 hit now. It is on a single pixel. These engineers need to fall back. Loovus, what are we doing here? Okay, Loovus giving away a free engineer squad. But Loovus here stabilizing, able to push forward, grabs another VP, gets out from under the clock. And we're coming up to, how much is a T-34-85? 130. Wow, they are pricey. I guess they're really good. Oh no, but losing a conscript squad here. I mean, I applaud Loovus for making a play, and I like trying to catch your opponent off guard by flanking from an unexpected direction with the 2 T-34-85s. But the execution was just not quite there for me. There was no reason to lose those engineers. I think that the infantry support could have been better utilized. Now conscripts are just feeding into these Panzer IVs. This isn't so great. Okay, tank buster grenade comes down. Okay, PTRSs for the kill. Alright, I'll take it all back. Turns out Elpern does know what they're doing, maybe. Actually, you know what? With that Panzer IV going down, this is kind of a game again. Because now it's not trivial for Elpern to just take back victory point control. Now, Loovus actually has a moment to get entrenched. And Loovus still has a T-34-85, which is being repaired. And it has a Star of Veterancy. And a T-34-85 against a Panzer IV and a Panzer Command tank. I mean, that's not insurmountable odds for the Soviet medium. You only need a tank buster grenade or a mine or a couple of things to go right, or a DP suppression with a little bit of PTRS support. And that T-34-85 can pick off one of these Panzers, and in a one-on-one, obviously, I favour the 85 against either of these units, so after that it starts looking easier. Maxim in an okay position here, but actually doesn't have the Struppens in arc. Looks like Guard's going to be tasked with getting onto this point here, but cleverly Elpern has left an MG42 overwatching that eastern command point. Oh my god, the T-34-85 is just going to take out the command tank. I didn't see what got it onto low health. Sorry, it's actually not dead. Okay, now it's dead. So, the T-34 is going to get the kill on that command tank. And, I don't know, Elpern was having a brilliant game, but making some mistakes with the maneuvers on these armored units is going to enable Loovus to chain together a few kills against these Axis mediums. And now the balance of power, I mean, Loovus can actually seriously challenge now. Look at the top left, look at the top right. Whoa, not if you lose your T-34-85 to a pack gun, though. Okay. Yeah, look at the top left, look at the top right. These armies now essentially evenly matched. Whereas before it just felt like Elpern had overwhelming, almost crushing domination. But you know what, speaking of crushing domination, 75 tickets remaining. And does Loovus needs to get up some map control right now, needs to get on top of these victory points right now. Or else they're just going to lose the game. So, although the armies are evenly matched, Loovus has somehow brought this back to sort of army parity. That means nothing if you're getting bled out. So conscripts get on top of Western VP. This was crucial, but it won't be enough. Guards going to make a run for center VP. There's only one MG42 for this army, and it's over here. And it has been flanked by a Maxim, and it is forced out of there. So, okay, Loovus is making it happen. This is what we needed to see. There's another T-34-85 going to be joining this medium armor skirmish. And that's going to be massive. A Stug here, going to be the choice for Elpern. And I like that a lot as well. The Stug, of course, is a pretty potent medium tank hunter. And well supported, can be absolutely great. But it's a higher risk unit to have chosen as well, because it can be exploited. If these T-34-85s get anywhere near the flanks of that Stug, then it's probably, well, it's just going to die. So, T-34-85 comes in here, a bounce off the side armor. Man, these T-34-85s are so muscly. Look at him just shoving this Panzer IV around. I don't think you can stay and fight this one, man. Yeah, because here comes the second one. Okay, the Stug arrives in the nick of time. Sorry, accidentally hit the tac map there because I'm a pro. And now, what an interesting standoff we have here. Stug Panzer IV against double T-34-85, assorted supporting infantry. Panzer Grenadiers with Panzer Shreks, gonna push back one of the T-34s. That's another grenade. Oh, these Guard grenades! Like, Elpern consistently, it seems, missing the opportunity to avoid the damage from those grenades. This Stug, why is it not firing? You need to creep it forwards. It needs to be contributing right now. Gonna creep it forwards? Oh. Well, these are guards. They don't have tank buster grenades, man. You need to creep forwards. Wow. Missing a couple of shots there on a T-34-85. A little bit awkward, but not the end of the world for elpern. Man, these 85s are just marauding across the battlefield now. And the MG42 is in danger of being wiped out. And that's going to be a kill off of a pack gun and I believe a mine in this position. And that's an abandoned T-34-85, so... Okay, drama on the battlefield. There's a T-34-85 up for grabs. I imagine, yeah, I was going to say, I imagine we'll just see the pack gun take the KO blow here and just prevent that from ever seeing another battle. And that is the wise choice there from elpern. Okay, so at the end of that phase of play, goodness me, what a crazy game. Loovus is not under the clock, but is at 47 under 373. One T-34-85 against just a lot of anti-armor resources here, so I still think I fancy elpern's chances in this game. Definitely elpern has the sort of overdog position, as I kind of weirdly like to say. And we're going to see a mortar added in and another pack gun. So, sorry, it was a mortar and additional Panzer Grenadiers. The Panzer Grenadiers got lost somewhere in that last exchange? I'm such a good caster, my goodness. Well, yeah, the Panzer Grenadiers got lost, probably around about here where this Panzer Shrek is. But that Panzer Shrek was dropped, so elpern can probably grab that. If these conscripts grab that, okay, there we go. That should never happen. And now there's going to be an Ostwind added onto the roster as well, so... You see, look at the interesting, diverse and amusing, entertaining battles we can have when people aren't just saving for Tiger tanks. Like, isn't this great? I'm loving this game. It's not been perfect, it's been dirty and crazy, and that's fine, but... Okay, whoa, the T-34-85 taking a lot of damage here. Panzer Grenadier is going to be spearheading an advance. They're getting tons of damage here, but they're also taking tons of damage. Okay, they will force these guards back. They should probably fall back now. There's a PTRS up for grabs here if anyone wants it. Pack gun creeps forward here. Bundaroo grenade going to be a parting gift. Fare thee well from these Panzer Grenadiers. Meanwhile, a Maxim being an utter hero out here in the east of the map, possibly preventing this point from being taken. Uh-oh, real suspenseful moment here. No, the Maxim has to reload at a crucial time. Oh, and that's going to enable the cap. And that's crucial because now Loovus is back under the clock. And when you're on 47 tickets and your opponent has this many, every ticket is going to be very valuable. Loving the GR34 being added onto the roster. Already has 3 kills, nearly a level of veterancy for itself. That is some rapid leveling up for an indirect fire unit. Ostwind as well, going to make its presence felt here. The T-34-85 exhausted, requiring repairs. Engineers just about to hook up with it momentarily, I think. And yeah, what an awesome game. And here's the thing, right? Like, just because it's a medium tank battle and not like a Tiger Plan game, like, it doesn't have to look this messy. Like, I'm not saying I love medium armor battles because they always look messy or anything like that. No, of course not. Like, players can execute perfectly with any units. Players can play very tidily and you know, with any set of units, but I am enjoying this game because of 2 factors, which are independent. It has medium tanks, and it's a sort of dirty, scrappy game with mistakes being made. And sometimes the most entertaining games to watch are games where both players are making mistakes, because then you end up in these interesting scenarios, and there's a sort of sense of urgency and action and desperation, which if one player or both players are just playing perfectly, those games can often feel quite dry. So, yeah, this is pretty sweet. Looks like Axis forces right now desperately attempting to grab this central VP. Smoke coming down from the GR34, going to block this Maxim for now. That's super annoying, but it looks like there's still probably enough Soviet rifles here. But now the AoE canisters on this Ostwind's autocannon going to come in here and make life pretty hard for this Soviet infantry. This is an absolute lawnmower that's firing into them. The Ostwind doing grievous damage. Forces back a large amount of Soviet infantry. Axis forces are able to secure middle VP, and Loovus under the clock once again. 35 tickets remaining and counting. Has to do something. Another wave of Soviet infantry lines up to try and do something out here in west, but there's a Panzer IV to contest, and very little really here to deal with that Panzer IV. PTRSs are okay, but they don't really represent a solution for this scenario. MG42 also. elpern has been very good about keeping this MG42 on overwatch of one of the flanking VPs throughout like large sections of this game, and that's been crucial. So, yep, 28 tickets and counting. So I think Loovus probably gets one more bite at this apple, and then it's over, right? I mean, if that. The crucial thing here is having enough infantry to get up on top of the resource points. I love leaving the Maxim and the Zisgun over here. They're so depleted and fragile, but I still like leaving them here to try and hold on to this VP in the east. You can't afford to be losing that to just a squad of Struppen who are sent over there to cap that. Okay, and now the conscripts are going to make their advance. There's no such thing as smoke here for the Soviet forces. T-34-85 awkwardly wasting its opening round on this bunker. Ostwind here just unchallenged. Pat Gun and Stug here going to prevent the 85 from doing a loop-de-loop. And honestly, I don't think that could have gone much worse for loovus. Just the T-34-85 not engaging the targets it needed to there at all. And now the Ostwind is just has these Soviet units in its crosshairs. The T-34-85 gets pushed right back. The Stug going to come forward. And losing squads as well as loovus, and you're never going to capture a point. I love building this like wall of bunkers. If you have the manpower and if you're doing well enough in the game, definitely exploit one of Wehrmacht's unique abilities to just put machine gun bunkers around the map. It makes life really annoying for your opponent, especially when that opponent doesn't have a mortar tube. Su-85? Really? I think this is one of the only times I don't agree with this choice. This is not a game that's going to go long, loovus. This is not a good time to be buying a long-term investment unit. And I appreciate that in a game that's going to go on a bit longer, the Su-85 would be absolutely brilliant, but when you have 18 tickets and you're under the clock, I don't think it's the right choice. So, and I think we're seeing now, finally, we really are seeing the closing stages of this game. What a characterful, interesting, diverse little snowflake of a game we caught here. Very nice. Stug comes in. T-34-85 is going to attempt to pursue, but the Stug will just say no. Look at how good Stugs are, man. I love Stugs. Okay, so, I mean, there's just no way. There's just no way. This is... elpern splitting their army so well, just deciding which units to leave where, deciding how to divide up their force to deflect how loovus is likely to divide up their force. Just so cool. And, yeah, I mean, this is a really nice array of units to leave over watching this position. This makes life really hard. These pioneers with an LMG-42 and a Panzer Shrek, jacks of all trades. Su-85 makes its present felt here, going to be using long-range line of sight mode. This Stug here, apparently oblivious to the first hit. Maybe the second will wake it up. Elpern. Hey, Elpern. There's still time for you to lose this Stug before the game ends, and that would look a little bit embarrassing. There we go. I'm going to scurry that one out of there. Guards infantry going to get up on top of this point, but it's a hard no from this roster of Axis units. I'm sorry, sirs. We are not interested in what you are peddling. Please remove all Soviet forces from this area. Thank you very much. And, yeah, conscripts here going to attempt to flank right into the middle of the arc. That's not how flanking works. And loovus here, putting up a heroic struggle. I honestly thought that this game was over like 15 or 20 minutes ago. So the fact that loovus was able to fight back... I mean, there was so let's crack the tack. There was a sweet point in that game where loovus was able to like come down the left flank and then like move in and loop behind the Axis line with the T-34-85s. And I honestly think if loovus had coordinated and executed that maneuver slightly better with regards to making sure the T-34s were actively firing at their targets with a much higher fire rate. Basically, the T-34-85 that died in that exchange, which I think was this one, was trying to track its turret onto a Panzer IV or another armoured target. I'm pretty sure it was a Panzer IV. And the hull was turning the other way. And that T-34-85 was likely to be very dead in the next few seconds anyway. And when you recognise that that's the case, don't worry about where you're manoeuvring. Don't worry about which armour facing you're bringing to bear, because you're taking so much fire from so many different sources that the tank is probably dead anyway. Just turn the hull so that the turret traverse matches up to its target like as quickly as possible. And he was doing the opposite. The hull was turning one way and the turret was trying to turn the other way. And that T-34-85 probably could have gotten off a shot or two there. Sounds small. Maybe it could have been another Panzer kill or another medium armor kill or presented an opportunity or like changed the flow of the battle. Also, the infantry support that was backing up the T-34-85s, he managed to lose a couple of squads in that push, I think. I think it was a conscript squad and an engineer squad perhaps. Or was it a guard squad? Not sure. And I mean, I didn't really see any reason for that to be a necessity. So I feel like that was just perhaps being a little too overstretched with having to micro a lot of units at the same time. You know, multitasking is hard. Even at the top of the RTS ladder, like, nobody's doing it perfectly. Like, far from. So I think those are fair criticisms. And if that assault had been slightly better managed, I mean, you know what? It wasn't just the T-34 ending up in this position with the turret traversing one way and the hull traversing the other way. You know, why did the T-34 end up over there anyway? Why wasn't it like... I mean, I might have to go back and watch this again, because I feel like there was definitely another line that the dead T-34 could have taken where it was just much more profitable in that engagement. And even with all of these errors and losing the 2 squads and the T-34-85, that maneuver alone basically was enough to let loovus survive for at least another 10 or 15 minutes in this game, it seems. So I'm praising that move, but there's a timeline that exists where that move was even better, and like, it's just amazing what Soviets can get done, because that seems like a super well entrenched, super well Axis army with a super great composition, is what I want to say. It looked unassailable, and loovus still managed to break it, essentially, losing some units in the process and not doing it as well as they could have, but break it and make the game go on for a while. And then, there were moments after that stage where loovus definitely could have stabilized, and moments where I was actually a little bit worried for elpern, who, it's fair to say, had the upper hand for the majority of this game. So yeah, I think with a little bit more practice here, loovus could have could become like a really good Soviet player. But I mean, credit where credit's due. Elpern here taking a very handy win, utilizing what is, to be fair, quite a left field strategy these days. I mean, we don't see mobile defense doctrine all that often, and we don't see Panzer IV command tank strategies pretty much ever. So really glad that I got to have a look at this unit. Really glad that I got to have a look at this game. Seems like the Panzer IV command tank is still just fine of a choice. Down at 100 fuel now makes it seem like just quite a good budget medium. I mean, to be honest, it's never going to sort of make your heart race in an anti-armor battle, but it's, contributes just fine against infantry and can be the linchpin of a very, very durable Axis line, and that's a really cool set of abilities to have. Also, these other abilities provided by this commander, like the Ostripern, were invaluable that game, surviving with 3 stars of veterancy each, able to Faust T-34s in that battle, able to claim points, able to repulse Soviet units, even just by taking fire and being ablative units to meet Soviet advances. There's no real good unit in the Wehrmacht roster usually to do that. There's no unit where you're just like, hey, you guys, sponge some damage for a while. I mean, maybe arguably Pioneers, but I mean, they're still a 4-man squad, they're still quite brittle. And Grenadiers and Panzer Grenadiers, you can forget about it. Those guys actually cost real amounts of manpower to reinforce, as well as being quite brittle. So, yeah, Ostripern just serving their purpose here. Panzer Attack, I think we saw the 222 use that at least once to stay alive. And counterattack tactics, I wasn't conscious of seeing that in use, but it always used to be quite useful. So I guess what I'm saying is I'd like to see more of this commander out on the ladder. All 5 of these abilities seem fun to watch, fun to use, and also just bring stuff to the Wehrmacht faction that I think it sorely needs. So that's great. Even the Puma, Wehrmacht is a faction that doesn't have a light tank. And the Puma sort of fulfills that role as well as kind of being a light tank hunter, and that's scary and cool. So yeah, elpern here putting together a fantastic game, making use of most of these abilities to bring a pretty idiosyncratic and unique play style, which made for a very fun game to watch. So yeah, awesome. Glad I caught that one. Unfortunately, that's all the time I have for casting right now, so it's just going to be one battle for today. But thank you very much for watching, and this for now, Magpie842 is signing out.